This tutorial is about protecting the king. So in this game it's all about how you can protect your king. So this is the tutorial to learn how to protect your king.
Castle early and castle often. It's a funny but also helpful phrase to remember during your games. After 3 moves, white is a pawn in the center and developed a knight and bishop toward the center. What's next? It's never too early to make sure your king is safe, so a great move for white is to castle. Remember, this is the one time you can move 2 pieces at once. You move your king 2 squares, and then the rook moves next to your king, like this. Think of castling as building a house for your king. The king finds shelter behind 3 loyal pawns. So it isn't easy for your opponent to tear down your defenses. The other great thing about castling is it answers a question you might be wondering. How do I bring my rooks into the game? Castling allows your rook to move toward the center, where it can enter the action. If you were black in this position, what would your plan be? Castle early and castle often. How can black prepare castling? That's right. Let's move our knight into the action and control the center with knight f6. Preparing to castle and threatening white's pawn on e4. After white protects the e4 pawn with a move such as d3, the house has been built for black's king. Let's move it in with castling. Both sides have safe kings thanks to castling, and each of the rooks used for castling are excited to enter the game in the center. Is castling really that important? Since our opening strategy should be to control the center, actively develop our pieces to help support the center, and castle our king to safety, we definitely do not want our king to sit in the center of the board where most of the action usually takes place. In this position, white is castled, but black's king is sitting on a central file which is wide open. With white to move, we can see our rook enter the action with rook e1 check. Rooks love open files, especially files leading to the enemy king. Notice black's king cannot escape the center, as white's bishop controls its escape square. Black could block the check with the bishop, but white would simply capture that bishop, and once again black's king would be in check. Black's only other move is queen e7, blocking the check, but now black's queen is in danger. Since white has 2 attackers, the bishop and rook, and black only has 1 defender of the queen, the king, white can play rook takes e7 check, winning black's queen and checking black's king. Notice black's king cannot capture the rook, as then black's king would be in check. Black would love to castle the king to safety, but since you can't castle out of check, black has to settle for a move such as king d8. Notice black's rooks are not connected, so they cannot work together, and black is down an entire queen. Now that we learned how much rooks love castling as they can enter the action in the center, would you believe white has an even stronger way to take advantage of black's exposed king? Instead of winning the queen with the awesome rook check, we can actually checkmate black's king in the center of the board. How is this possible? Our path to victory begins with delivering a check with our most powerful piece, queen to e2 check. Once again, black's king cannot move as white's bishop prevents its escape, so after queen e7, using our queen as an attacker with the bishop as a helper, we can play queen takes e7, checkmate, capturing black's queen, attacking the king, and covering all of the escape squares. The bishop is the helper piece because it protects white's queen, meaning that black cannot capture the queen, so the game is over. Let's look at one last example together. Sometimes we do our best to castle early, and it just doesn't work out as planned. Don't worry, it happens to all of us. The most important thing is not to dwell on the past, but focus on what you can do now and build a better future. White is down a pawn, and black is threatening to capture our rook on h1. To make matters worse, our king is still in the center, and black's rook that was used for castling is lined up with our king. Not a good sign. What is white to do? How can we move our king to safety and protect our rook on h1 at the same time? That's right, we can castle queenside. Our king has escaped the dangers of the center, and now the rooks are connected, protecting each other on the first rank. White's position isn't perfect, but it's a lot better now that we've castled. You've done a great job exploring the importance of protecting our king by castling. Now let's castle early and often in the challenges.